Hello everyone and welcome to my Bachelor Nation 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Gerry Turner comforted Joan Vassos in her dark times. Undoubtedly, if anyone understands the Golden Bachelorette process, it is Gerry Turner, who went through the same thing about a year ago. Understandably, it is difficult to go through dating multiple people at one time on camera. Furthermore, some emotions blindsided Joan Vassos during the first season of the show. When those trials crept up, who did she turn to? The Golden Bachelor, Gerry, of course. Joan Vassos faces challenges in her journey. Although Joan Vassos has a soft heart, she has shown great strength through her past. When she accepted the honor of becoming the first Golden Bachelorette, she had no idea just how hard it would be for her. During the inaugural episode, she calmly receives each of the men as they arrive at the mansion. Undoubtedly, Joan and the men were nervous about the exciting journey ahead. But one by one, Joan met the guys and seemed to enjoy her time getting to know them. Notably, she was in their place when she was vying for Gerry Turner's attention. However, the preview for upcoming weeks shows that Joan's journey is riddled with raw emotions. Although she wants to move on, her heart is bound to her first husband and the love of her life, Joan Vassos. When times get dark for her, she enlists the comfort of an old friend. Gerry Turner comforted Joan Vassos in her dark times. At the end of the first episode, the Golden Bachelorette fans got a sneak peek of what is to come. While Joan Vassos is falling apart with the unprocessed grief of Joan Vassos, she gets a surprise visit from Gerry Turner. As he steps out of the limo, he arrives just in time to comfort Joan after telling the men she doesn't know if she can keep moving forward with new relationships. Unfortunately, she was taken off guard by all the emotions that surfaced when she began to get to know the wonderful suitors. In many ways, she felt like she was cheating on Joan. Gerry Turner understands how Joan Vassos feels. Upon several of the gentlemen's entries, they mentioned how Joan Vassos' sentiment of feeling invisible had struck a chord with them. Unmistakably, with age and losing her John, she felt like she was blending into the background of life. But when she met Gerry Turner and took the adventurous leap of looking for love on TV, her heart revived. She said, "Gerry helped make me feel visible because he looked at me. And he cared about what I was saying, and he wanted to get to know me." But at that time, little did she know that Gerry would be comforting her when she was dating other men. Correspondingly, she had no idea she would be the new Golden Bachelorette either. Now that she has this opportunity, she wants to make each of the men know they are valid and seen. Much like her experience with Gerry, she wants to help them remember to enjoy life at any age. Gerry offers advice. Ahead of the premiere, Joan Vassos says that Gerry Turner gave her some advice going in. She said, "He had done it most recently and had a more similar journey age-wise to mine." Taking away some of the best advice, she adds, "He said, don't invest in somebody too early." She recognizes that it is hard to know red flags when first meeting people. Instead, she has an elimination method. From experience, Gerry knows there's a lot of people there, and everybody deserves an equal chance. You don't know what's going to come of your original feelings for somebody. Additionally, he told her, let the story unfold with each and every person. Unmistakably, he knows it is important to savor the time. Further adding, date them like they're the only person there. Likewise, he recommended not wasting even a moment. It's a very, very fast journey, and make sure every conversation is important and you learn something about the person, because you're going to need all that knowledge to make the decisions in the end. Gerry and the psychiatrist help her navigate the guilt. Admittedly, Joan Vassos thought she was ready to find love, but it was difficult to let go of the life she had. She says, "Emotionally, I feel like I learned a lot that I didn't know, that I hadn't dealt with the passing of my husband." But talking with Gerry and the on-site psychiatrist, Joan started to understand it isn't trading the life she had, but instead adding to the value of the life she is still living. At that point, she knew she could hold on to all the beauty from loving John and share it with someone new at the same time. Joan says, I'm realizing I don't have to mourn the rest of my life. I deserve to have a second chance at love, potential for the future. It's the reason I'm here. It's the renewed hope. The soft glow of the firelight flickered across the room, casting a warm hue that seemed to soften the edges of everything it touched. Gerry Turner sat in his leather chair, gazing into the crackling flames, his thoughts heavy but his heart steady. He was the kind of man who carried an innate gentleness with him, the type who could soothe a storm with a word or a touch. And tonight, he knew someone who desperately needed that calm. Joan Vassos had been battling her own storms lately. Unseen to most, but Gerry noticed. She was always the vibrant one among the group of women he had met on his journey as the Golden Bachelor. Her laugh was contagious, her wit sharp, and her elegance timeless. But recently, something about her had changed. The sparkle in her eyes had dimmed, replaced by a shadow that she tried hard to conceal. Her smiles were still there, but they seemed forced, as though masking a deeper pain. Tonight, after another one of the show's events, Gerry had found Joan quietly excusing herself from the lively conversations, slipping away into the solitude of a side room. He followed her, his concern outweighing his hesitation. Joan stood near the window, staring out into the darkness beyond. She was lost in thought, her silhouette framed by the soft moonlight. Gerry knew this moment wasn't about grand gestures or speeches. It was about listening, being present for someone who felt alone in a room full of people. Joan, Gerry's voice was soft, yet it carried the weight of genuine care. She didn't turn immediately, but her shoulders relaxed ever so slightly. Mind if I join you? She sighed deeply, finally turning to face him. Her eyes, usually so full of life, were rimmed with the subtle redness of tears she hadn't let fall. She tried to smile, but it faltered, and instead, she just nodded. Gerry crossed the room and stood beside her, the silence between them comfortable, almost necessary. For a long moment, they just stood there, looking out at the stars. Gerry didn't press her to speak. He knew that sometimes the hardest part of sharing pain was finding the words to begin. Finally, Joan broke the quiet, her voice barely above a whisper. I don't know how to do this anymore, Gerry. He looked at her, his heart clenching at the vulnerability in her tone. Do what? He asked gently. Keep pretending everything's fine. That I'm okay when I'm not, she admitted, her voice trembling slightly. I thought I could handle this, but I don't know if I can. Gerry didn't rush to fill the silence after her confession. Instead, he let it linger, giving her the space to say what she needed to say. Joan's eyes drifted back to the window as she continued. I lost someone. Not recently, but it feels like yesterday sometimes. I thought time would heal it, but some days it just doesn't. And being here, in this world of second chances and finding love again, I feel like a fraud. Like, how can I move forward when I still feel so tethered to the past? Her words were heavy with grief, and Gerry could feel the depth of her pain. He reached out, taking her hand in his, offering silent comfort before speaking. Loss, it doesn't have a timeline, Joan, he said quietly. It stays with you, sometimes in ways you don't expect. But that doesn't mean you're not allowed to move forward. It doesn't mean you're betraying the past by looking toward the future. Joan's eyes glistened with unshed tears, and she bit her lip, trying to hold herself together. Gerry squeezed her hand gently. I've been where you are, he continued, his voice full of empathy. I lost the love of my life too. And for a long time, I didn't know if I could ever open myself up to love again. I didn't know if it was even right to try. But then I realized something. I wasn't dishonoring her by moving forward. I was honoring the love we shared by allowing myself to live fully again. It's what she would have wanted. Joan's gaze softened as she looked at him, seeing not just the charming bachelor, but a man who understood her pain in a way few could. I don't want to forget, she said, her voice cracking slightly. I'm afraid if I move forward, I'll lose them all over again. Gerry shook his head gently. You won't forget. The people we love, they stay with us. In our hearts, our memories, they shape who we are. Moving forward doesn't mean forgetting. It just means carrying them with us as we find new reasons to smile, new reasons to love. A single tear escaped down Joan's cheek, and she quickly wiped it away, but Gerry saw it. He saw the immense strength it took for her to keep going, to be here, to try and open her heart again. And in that moment, he felt a surge of admiration for her bravery. "You're not alone in this, Joan," he said, his voice steady and full of reassurance. "We're all here because we've been through something. We've all felt broken at some point."